just Jay with True Empathic Insights Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me on my channel this month. This is the first time I've done any romance or love general oracle card readings since I started my channel a few months ago, so this is very exciting. It seemed very apropos to do it during the month of February, since this is considered the love month, even though every month should be about love. So I just felt like, you know, a lot of the times people are, in particular, during the month of February, are looking for some insight into their love life, so it just seemed very apropos to do that. Thus far, since I started recording, it's been quite the journey. Initially, I was planning on just providing insight for the month of February, but it's actually grown to be a lot bigger than that. You know, I start recording and I start relaying the messages that the universe is giving me, and the messages tend to be more guarded towards or geared towards your own personal love situation or general love situation that might be applicable to the year or to your love life in general, like just moving forward. So not, necessarily indicative of what happens during the month of February so much as what to plan for or to expect or how to approach your love life moving forward. You're actually my final recording. It's very exciting because I was trying to get these readings done early, and it looks like the majority of these are going to get recorded and posted earlier than others. And I wanted to get these out to you as soon as possible because I knew I was really late in getting the videos done during the month of January. So this is good. And so February isn't quite here yet, so I'm glad to be getting this done beforehand so that you have this insight ahead of time. In addition to that, the cards that I'm using primarily for your reading, the main reading is going to be from the Romance Angels Oracle Card Deck by Doreen Virtue. As you can see, it's pretty worn down as I do a lot of love readings, so that's why. But your clarifier card is going to be from the Lovers Oracle Card Deck by Tony Carmine Salerno. So really hopeful about these readings, just because so far the messages have been very interesting. And while I do try to gear them towards relationship-oriented individuals and single-oriented individuals, sometimes the universe is leaning me more towards one versus the other. So that's all been quite an interesting take. And so, yeah, I'm not going to talk your ear off about the process. I'm just going to go ahead and get right to it. Your first card, my dear Capricorn friends, is Playfulness. Now, playfulness is fun because to me that says you're enjoying being in your body, being who you are, and you're having a good time. You're dating a variety of people. Even though Capricorn is an earth sign, and I would say is more relationship-oriented because of that. You know, earth signs are definitely signs that people like to be in relationships with because they know that you're stable. They know that they can count on you to be loyal and to be with them in the long term. Although, that's not necessarily indicative of a lot of Capricorns I know. I know quite a few Capricorns that are players. But, and that's not just indicative of men. Let me keep it real. I know quite a few Capricorns that like to play the field. So, it's kind of funny because then I think, well, you must have something else in your sign. There's got to be something else going on, the majority of you, because you definitely like to keep those options open. But what's indicative of a Capricorn, from what I understand, astrologically speaking, research-wise, earth signs are grounded, they're loyal, and they're the kind of partners that you can expect to be with on a long-term basis. Or they at least appear to be that way. I do have my space heater on, so apologies if there's a little bit of a buzzing going on. And I am recovering from a virus. I got sick, so still healing from that. So if I sound a little congested, apologies. But just, I wanted to get these done. Wanted to get these to you in time. Basically, this seems very indicative of the majority of the Capricorns that I know that like to go out and have a good time and are enjoying being with a multitude of partners right now. So this very much feels like it's indicative of those of you that are not in committed relationships, but more so those of you that are single. I have to do a little more research on that because it's so funny. But you're definitely flirtatious, you're playful, and you're having a good time right now. Definitely. To recapture romance, allow your inner youthful spirit of fun to shine. that could be indicative more so of those of you that are in a relationship and maybe the relationship has grown stale. And if you're the type of Capricorn that right off the bat like to go out and have a little bit of fun and like to explore things initially when you met your partner, and then as is indicative of a lot of relationships, things slow down, you end up staying in more so than you do go out. There's just this certain level of comfortability that comes up from being in the relationship that might make it feel a little less exciting and passionate for you. Then it might be time for those of you that are in a relationship to maybe start capturing that playfulness again. Start flirting, start encouraging more date nights, trying a different position in the bedroom, a variety of things. Really off the top of my head, I feel like this is more so indicative of those of you that are out dating a variety of partners and enjoying being single. I feel like quite a few of you are enjoying being single right now, and you're just having fun with it. It isn't so much about capturing romance so much as it is about just enjoying romance, enjoying being in the moment and just being with those variety of partners and just exploring your options, just allowing yourself to explore those options. Nothing wrong with that, by all means. But at least for those of you that are in a relationship, it could just be that the relationship's gotten a little stale, so now you have to find that playfulness again. Second card here. Okay, that's interesting. Stay optimistic. So I didn't read your cards before I pulled them. I just pulled them and I pressed record. For those of you that are subscribers of my channel, you know that it's fresh for me at the same time that it's fresh for you. So staying optimistic about your love life. Okay, so maybe some of you are a little cynical right now. You're enjoying your options, you're dating, you're getting out there, but maybe you're not really optimistic about being in a relationship. Maybe the notion of being in a relationship just seems kind of far-fetched and too far gone for you. And this could be because you've been in relationships in the past in which you allowed yourself to be vulnerable and the relationships ended. That happens. You aren't necessarily going to marry the first person that you're in a relationship with. And not every relationship is going to last. You know, not every relationship is going to be a 5-year relationship. Some may only be a few months or otherwise. That doesn't mean that there's anything necessarily wrong with you. It just means that you've ended the soul contract with the person that you were in the relationship with in order to learn something from them. In order to grow. You learned more about yourself as a result of being in that relationship, as a result of allowing yourself to be vulnerable and to be present in those relationships, so that when the right person does come along, then you're able to be with them, truly able to be with them. Because now you're not codependent, now you're not relying on that other person to complete you, now you're not relying on that other person to fill some void, you fill the void yourself. You learned from those experiences, and now you're whole in who you are. So, it's important to look at those past relationships like that and not to allow those things to become the reason why you're not able to really fully invest in the relationships that you're in now. Because this tells me right now, if you're dating a lot of different people, you're hot, you're exciting, you're interesting, you're intriguing to people. And people may want to get close to you, but you're closing yourself off from them because really you don't want to become too detached. You're keeping yourself from too attached. Excuse me. Thank you, universe. They got me for that. You don't want to become too attached. You don't want to allow yourself to be vulnerable again. But really, I don't know where this mindset of vulnerability means that you're weak. That's not what that means. In fact, it's quite the opposite. Allowing yourself to be vulnerable actually requires quite a bit of strength within itself. Detaching doesn't require as much strength. Because you're not opening yourself up. You're not allowing these people to see you for who you really are. Being vulnerable means letting your walls down, letting people see you for who you really are. And that requires some strength in and of itself. Because it is scary to be vulnerable. It's scary going into unknown, uncharted waters with someone and letting them see the ugly parts of you, the deeper parts of you, what have you, your flaws, your quirks, what have you. So I don't know why a lot of people tend to view that as a bad thing, but being vulnerable is actually a good thing because it means you're opening yourself up to love. It's basically a charge to the universe that you're ready for love, that you're ready to receive it, that you're ready to be fully invested in it. right? Not that this person is filling the void for you. Not that this person is completing you. They're an extension of you, excuse me. But by being vulnerable and allowing yourself to be fully invested, that means you're giving as much as they are too. Being detached means they're giving more to you than you're giving to them. That's not a balance. That's not fair. That isn't good to them. That isn't good to you. Because if there's no love that can actually be gained. And maybe that's the goal. Maybe you don't want there to be love. Maybe you don't want love to be gained. But I think on some level you do. On some level you're lonely, Capricorn. On some level you really do want to be with someone. You don't just want someone in your bed every other night, you know, or once a week. You want someone there long term. Well, if you want that, Capricorn, if you deep down truly want that stability, you have to allow yourself to open up. You have to remain optimistic and positive about your love life. You have to allow yourself to be with that person. Positive thinking and faith will bring you romance. So stay optimistic about it. Stay positive about it. I mean, you're definitely ahead of the game in comparison to other signs in that, you know, you have a variety of partners to choose from. You're dating. You're enjoying yourself. And maybe you think that dating a lot of different people is weird. No, that's more than a lot of other people can say. If you're hot enough that you're getting asked out on a regular basis, if people are blowing up your phone trying to holler at you, I would say that's a good place to be. And don't take those individuals for granted. Enjoy these moments, but, you know, don't use those people. Don't abuse the good things that are coming to you. But if there's one in particular that's resonating a little bit more strongly than the others, then I would say that's the one you need to allow yourself to be more vulnerable towards and more open with. And even if it doesn't work out, at least you're one step closer to fully being present in a relationship, to fully opening yourself up to a relationship, if that makes sense. Final card is true love, which makes sense. If you're open to it and you're allowing yourself to be fully present and fully invested in it, true love can manifest as a result of that. It really can. But only if you're open to it. If you're not open to it, it won't. You'll just continue to go on meaningless dates. You'll just continue to just remain detached and not ever have any real connection. And I honestly don't believe in the pit of my gut, Capricorn, that that's what you want. So somewhere along the way you closed yourself off. And I'm not sure why. Maybe a past relationship. Maybe just in general, maybe you just don't feel like you can really trust people. I don't know. But it's hurting you, and it's keeping you from fully engaging and being fully present in a relationship that is worthwhile. This is the romance of a lifetime. So, true love is the romance of a lifetime. That is something that can end up being just the bee's knees of all the relationships that you've ever had in your life. In this lifetime, anyway. But this cannot come if you keep closing yourself off. If you keep detaching. If you keep playing the field. True love is not going to come from playing the field. I can guarantee it. I don't care if other people tell you otherwise. Oh, just keep your options open, girl. Just do this. Just go to the club. Do that. You know, and then what's to be gained? One night stands. I'm all for pleasure. I'm all for enjoying being physical in this plane. That's one of the beautiful things about being in the third dimensional plane. But in the long run, if that's not what you want, Capricorn, that's not what you need. If the reality is that you do want a marriage and a family and the white picket fence, you're going to have to make some different choices. You might actually have to let your walls down a bit. Ooh, your clarifier card just came right out. Excuse me. I'll give you a case, an example. I have had a friend who was Capricorn. We lost touch years ago. Loved playing the field in her younger years. Ended up marrying same sign, Capricorn. But he kind of wore her down. From what I know, he knew what he wanted, and he knew she was the girl for him. And so he just made sure he was always there. He was always available. Which, I pros and cons to that, honestly. He was definitely more codependent than I think was necessary. But he did ultimately win her heart and they got married. But she was still in the mindset of being detached. Anytime the relationship ended up experiencing some hurdles or some issues, she was very much in the mindset, I can find someone else and keep it moving real quick. I want you to know right now, I can find someone else and keep it moving real quick. Which, in a sense, meant that she wasn't fully invested in the relationship. She was still detaching from it. Whereas he was like, I'm trying to make this work. Yes, we hit this hurdle. Yes, we hit this issue. But I want to resolve it. I want to work through it with you. And she continually pulled away. Ultimately, they got divorced. And she was right back to where she started, playing the field. And ultimately, she wasn't happy. I know that because at one point she had said to me, you know, it's difficult, especially when you do kind of develop this mindset of, you know, the house with the white picket fence and the whatever. And the cows and the chickens, the whatever. And it was just funny because it was during those vulnerable moments that I realized that that's ultimately what she did want. She did want. And whether or not she was aware of it, she pushed it away. And I think she pushed it away because of past heartbreaks, past whatever issues, because of her own neuroses. And it worked against her. And so, ultimately, she had to start all over. She had to start all over. And her ex-husband ended up finding someone who was fully invested like he was. That gave him more of the nurturing that he needed. Now, as a friend, it was difficult for me to, like, really say that to her and be like, oh, I think a big reason why this relationship isn't going so well is because of you. And you're kind of pushing him away. And you're hurting your relationship because of your own neuroses. She was definitely hard-headed and stubborn. It's not like she would have heard me anyway. But I recognized that right from the get-go. And I thought, God, you know, it's not the first time I've experienced that from a Capricorn. But I think because I'm a water sign too, and my sun sign being Cancer, she felt safe enough to be vulnerable with me to tell me that ultimately she did want the house with the white picket fence, etc. And I just thought, why couldn't you tell your husband that? I'm sure he would have loved to have heard that. Because I know he was fighting to give that to you. But you kept making it sound like that's not what you wanted. So, that's just my own experience with that, Capricorn. And if that's what's happening for you now, I would encourage you to be vulnerable. I would encourage you to express those things to your partner. And who cares if they're not open to it? If one of those partners isn't open to it, then that tells you right then and there. Scratch them off your list. That's not the person you're meant to be with. But there is someone out there that will appreciate that. That will appreciate your vulnerability. And you're not any less of a person for being vulnerable. And you're not any weaker or less strong because of it. Right? It's okay to feel. It's okay to be present. Okay, so here we have this beautiful yin and yang symbol. Male and female. And there's this balancing that's happening in the image of the card. And the card itself is balance, which says, love is not always about agreeing just for the sake of it. A great relationship is one that both supports and challenges. Oh. So keep that in mind too. Keep that in mind too. The ones that are worth exploring and fully being present in are the ones worth fighting for. You know? So as far as remaining optimistic about your love life, I feel like perhaps you began to detach because in the past you were in relationships in which your partner didn't fully agree with you on everything. Well, they're not going to. They have their own path. They have their own truths, just like you have your own truths. Again, your relationship should be an extension, not a completion. The two of you should complement each other like the yin and yang. But apart, you're very strong by yourselves. That's where the balance comes into play. How you complement one another. So remaining optimistic about your love life doesn't necessarily mean that okay, the person I'm going to be with is going to be completely perfect, and they're going to check all my boxes on my list, my insane list that I've created. And I can say that because I wrote a list too, so I know what that's about. It's about recognizing the ones that are willing to fight for you. The ones that truly appreciate you and will honor you and will compliment you and will respect you at your worst moments as equally as they do at your best. So there you have it, my dear Capricorn friends. I hope that was helpful to you. By all means, feel free to let me know in the description box below, or if you feel more comfortable sending me a personal email and letting me know, feel free to do that. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you would like a personal reading, you can contact me at the information in the description box below or conveniently at the end of this video. I'm still working on my website to make it a little bit easier to purchase a reading for the future. So hopefully that'll be done pretty soon. Still working on it. Oh, what else can I tell you? Again, if you haven't checked out your moon and or rising sign, be sure to do that. And thank you for indulging me for the month of February. Again, I hope this provided some clarity and some insight, and just makes you feel a little bit better. Puts you on a positive path in the direction of your love life in general. Alright, so there you have it, my dear Capricorn friends. Blessings, light, and love, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.